War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, and welcome to the many people that watch here from other fan persuasions as well. This is the E2C Network Live, where we talk about anything and everything Auburn, anything on the Auburn family spectrum. Always heavy on the sports here, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay on Twitter, Facebook, or here in our main studio of YouTube. We appreciate you hanging out with us for even just a few minutes of your time. On this live stream, it'll be, sadly, our final post-game show of the season. Didn't think I'd be saying that tonight. Your Auburn Tigers fall in the second round of the NCAA tournament by the score of 79-61 to the Miami Hurricanes. Hats off completely to start off with to the Hurricanes. Well done. That needs to be said before we go any further. So this will be pretty much a post-game therapy session is really what we're going to be moving into now at this point. Trying to understand what happened, trying to process what happened. Here is a couple of things that I will address right at the front. First of all the Auburn fans need to prepare, either here on this live stream or social media, wherever, for what's coming. And that being the fans of the other side response. We've dished it out a lot, and it's coming back. So just be prepared for that. Other thing as well, emotions are running high right now. Probably actually the emotions have been just killed off at this point. So, just keep that in mind as we go throughout the stream tonight. And that's more so even just for me as a personal reminder for myself. These guys have been through a lot this season, have done a lot, accomplished a lot, and it is tragic the way it has ended. And we're going to talk through some of that tonight. But it makes it no fun whatsoever to have to cover that right there. So again, to start off with, congrats to the Miami Hurricanes. Incredible game plan on their part. Very well prepared, unlike our team in some ways tonight. Before we get started, though, a lot of you have already done that. You know the drill. Post where you're watching from, City, State, International with a War Eagle, or whatever else you'd like to do to say hello in the chat right now. And also make sure you smash that like button if you haven't done so already. We will also be allowing our Booster Club members tonight to call in. If you are a Booster Club member in the app, you have the link available to do that. Feel free to call in at any point tonight. I know it is late, but open therapy session for you here if you want to join in on the conversation. All right. I will say I'm appreciating right now some of the humor. I think that's one of the things that's, if you want to put a silver lining on this, the fact that it pretty much seemed over so long ago in the second half. You've had time to, I guess, to rationalize that, to prepare yourself for this. So it's not as big of a sting as if you battle all the way back, maybe even get a lead and then lose it again and lose in either regulation or overtime. Wow, not the way you want to start off. John Fletcher, disbelief. Brody, that was bad. Auburn Live anytime says this really sucks to lose that way. Can't hit shots 2 feet in the basket, and our best player was off and he could not get a break. It really is the story of tonight. It kind of breaks my heart, to be honest with you. It's very rare for a talent like Jabari Smith to come into Auburn. It's also very rare for a talent like that to be the type of person he seems to be. And I'm not just saying that because I've got my orange and blue shades on. I've witnessed some of those moments personally. I've seen them on social media. I don't know the kid personally, but he seems like a rare once in a million talent with also rare once in a million personality, behavior, mindset, character. And you don't get that combination, that elite of a combination on all sides, on and off the court, very much coming through many or really any school, that combination. But to come through Auburn, it feels super special, and it feels even more hurtful to see it in this way for the Tigers and in this way for him. John says that our defense was the strongest attribute all season, but not tonight. John, yes, I would say defense did not. You give up almost 80 points. Defense doesn't look good, but this is a situation where the offense utterly failed. Some of that is our own doing. Some of that is the ball just didn't bounce the way it was supposed to tonight, for a way we would have liked it to, not in the way it bounced the way it was supposed to, the way we wanted it to tonight. I have watched many games, played in several games in my life, and I can think of maybe one or two occasions where there literally just seemed to be a lid on the basket, and that seemed to happen tonight. Auburn didn't make it easy on themselves, but it just was not meant to be their night tonight. Large part due to the way Miami played tonight, but just really wasn't the night for them. Let's see here. Let me scroll down here. We're going to have to kind of deal with some of the shenanigans of, as I warned you, a lot of other fans in here. That cost you $300. Rob, you do what you want, buddy, but that is why I never recommend betting. Especially on Auburn sports, my friend. War Eagle from Leeds, good to see you there. A lot of you checking in as I requested to. Blake on Facebook, War Eagle, not the way I wanted to end. I hate we look so dead tonight. Who were we? Yeah, it's hard to really fathom what happened outside. The only way to fathom what happens now is to start where it needs to start, and that's with, again, I feel like this has now become the Miami show, congratulating them and just saying what a great game plan. That high, almost half court trap that they did on our guards really suffocated the offense. Getting Walker Kessler into foul trouble immediately just completely set the thing apart. The strategy for success against Auburn this season was about as easy as you could. Take out Walker Kessler and take out three things. Take out Walker Kessler, keep the guards under control, and hope that Jabari Smith is not having a monster night. And as many good nights as he had, he only had probably, I would call I count him on one hand, monster nights, but he was always great, except for tonight. That's really the formula to beat Auburn basketball in 2021-22. Checking in from Jackson. The Canes are going to your Canes are in the Sweet 16. Congratulations, and very well deserved based on that. I would agree. They deserve all the credit. Lots of crying from Auburn fans. Devin says we didn't play our best, but I'm sorry those refs sucked. Still a historic season. I'm going to choose to look at the positive because that's the only way I can get through this. War Eagle. I think there's a balance here, right? So in these situations, the fan bases, it's not just an Auburn thing. You tend to get the people that just want to blame, point fingers, say this person sucked, but they'd never say that to their face. They'd say it here on social media where they can hide behind a moniker. That's one way to approach it. There's also another aspect of it to be overly positive and just make excuses and stuff like that. And that's not what you're doing, Devin. I like you, acknowledging, look, this is bad, but there was a lot of great things to be happy about on this season. And we're going to take some time on this channel now that the season is officially over to do some of that. But right now, this sucks, doesn't it? It really just sucks. I had us losing the game, but not like this. Listen, this is the one year where you look at this bracket and you say Auburn can do it. And it doesn't feel bad to put Auburn, it failed. It failed. Rusty, great point. I noticed this as well as I was kind of preparing myself to get ready to do this show. Arkansas. If you're an SEC guy or girl, Arkansas is your only hope now. Kentucky's gone. Peacocks. I'm a St. Peter's Peacocks fan now, or at least for the duration of this tournament. LSU's gone, Alabama's gone, Tennessee. Oh my goodness, Tennessee is gone. So crazy. Big Simp says why March Madness is so good. Everyone has a chance to win the championship. Not like football, disappointed, yes, but great season. We'll be back. And I'll be honest, I'm sitting there thinking during this, how am I going to enjoy the rest of March Madness? And I will. This too shall pass. If I may, go philosophical on you for a second, but it stings a little bit right now. My bracket has to make a comeback to make any good profit. Well, buddy, good luck with that. The way people's brackets are getting torched this go round is incredible. At least we didn't go out like Kentucky. Yeah, there is that. I would say though, Josh, this isn't as impressive of a loss as the Kentucky Wildcats St. Peter's. Yeah, there's the whole 15 seed. But when you look at a team like St. Peter's who's just playing out of their minds, no one wants to step on the court with St. Peter's right now. Not with the momentum they have, not the way they're playing. Nobody. There ain't a number one seed left in the tournament that wants to play St. Peter's. None. You do not want the Cinderella, and they are the Cinderella in full peacock regalia. Miami kid, listen, that's the way we try to operate here. As long as I will say you came in kind of hot, but I think you've felt the temperature of the room and see that we're not, going to be that way. So always remember that. And that's not necessarily for you, Miami kid, but just for opposing fans. Come in here respectfully, have a little fun. It's fine. And we'll be fine, but don't go too far with it. I think that was a great thing that you did there. Too many baskets close to the rim. This is the frustrating part for me, Rusty, tonight. How many times I saw that ball spin, go in, come out, hit the back iron, like land on the rim, tilt in, and then fall back out. I mean, it made no sense. This game should have been won by Auburn by the amount of up-close shots that they had and missed. Some of them were bad takes. Not a lot of them, though. Just wasn't the night for Auburn. Great, Rob. We need some laughs tonight. Sonny Smith, former Auburn head coach and now commentator, he used to say our guys couldn't throw the ball in the ocean right now. And I'm sure he said that several times. Now, that is a good catchphrase for him. Thomas, there is no question. I know right now, buddy, you are reaching for something to feel good about. I hope that I would be upset with Jabari if he doesn't go. The man's going to be a top 3 pick, easy. Still has a chance for that number 1 pick overall. It really depends on what the team needs at this point. He didn't have that last game for him's not great, but they're not going to discredit him just because of one bad game. I mean, how many bad games do you think Jabari had all season? 2? This one and another one? Yeah. At least we didn't get squeezed out like Colgate. That's funny. That is funny right there. Wish I knew enough to say something constructive. Thankful for our program, War Eagle. I thought shot selection was poor. One thing let me bring that back up. Sorry, I didn't mean to pull that down so quickly. One thing I will talk about on that, Rob, is it's easy for us to step back and I'm not saying you're wrong, but what I hear on this channel, I like to kind of take a analytical approach of what we see and what we're saying here. It's easy for us from the TV, from the stands, to say shot. That is really hard to say. Wow. Shot selection was very poor. Yes. But you can only take the shots that you're being given and able to overcome in terms of what the defense is doing against you. So again, and I know a lot of the people that watch this channel don't like this, but you've got to give credit to Miami. Miami defensively had a great game plan. They had a great game plan, period. And they got Auburn out of their element early and kept the pressure on them and didn't let up. They almost did, but Auburn just couldn't get out of its own way at that point. Town, excuse me. Man, I feel so bad for Jabari. He tried so hard, and you could tell he was getting frustrated. Stuff like that happens, especially when a player is 18 years old. It happens to any player, no matter your age. You hate to see that be his final game as an Auburn Tiger. It doesn't take away from what he's accomplished here. Doesn't take away from his legendary status that in one season I'm sure he'll have someday, and how we remember him. I'm not talking. We're well be too far removed from having conversations about jerseys and statues and things like that. We'll need to see what his professional career is like before we start talking about that. But what he's meant to this program cannot be understated. And it is sad to see that in this way. I'll be honest. I'm glad that I was not able to convince myself to go to Greenville this weekend. The first game would have been fun and very cheap to attend. For those of you that spent money to watch that, I am so sorry. And I know the players and the coaches feel that way too. Wow, that is not what you want to pay money to see. And so I will be canceling rooms to New Orleans that I had reserved on the admittedly very off chance that we got there, but I wanted to be prepared. So that will not be a fun call to make tomorrow. Walker Kessler, 0 for 6, only 2 points in the night. His free throws, yeah. I mean, that there we talked about it early on. You eliminate Walker Kessler from the situation. You keep the guards from getting a little bit of momentum out. You can probably, as long as you can probably keep two of three of them from doing anything, because Katie Johnson actually, he was one of the ones that showed up a little bit well tonight. And then hope Jabari just doesn't have a monster game. That's how you beat Auburn. Miami's veteran players control the entire game. They're fair and square. Fair enough. Fair enough. Think we're all rooting for St. Peter's. Hey, listen, Peacock culture doesn't have to end just because Auburn's out of it. The Peacocks, the real Peacocks, are in there. Donna, all you naysayers about Auburn. Now, I hope you don't feel about anybody here on this channel that way, because I don't think we've had too much of that going on. No one feels worse than the players. Be appreciative of their efforts and continue support for your Auburn sports war eagle. I wholeheartedly agree. There is a fine line, though, between being not acknowledging the negative side of this, because it's the reality of what it is. This is, and I want to take a second here to use this to kind of springboard off two things I wanted to make sure I say, because I'm a man of my word. I said that anything below an Elite Eight appearance by this team is a disappointment, and this is a disappointment. Again, it does not take away from what they've accomplished, how much I love and appreciate them and the coaches and what they've accomplished this season, but it is a disappointment. It is also a little bit of I told you so for those fans that were very adamant that we had peaked and that was our problem. You know, there are more problems than just that, but you can now definitively say that we peaked too early. So just want to make sure we cover those bases here on this channel. From the tip-off, we never executed well. Turnovers, and then getting Walker Kessler in foul trouble. Not how you want to start. Yeah, at all. Let's see here. I'm trying to get through some of your questions here in comments just to kind of get to some points we haven't hit. Great season, but horrible game. Our best two players were nowhere to be seen. Hopefully next year is better, but I thought this was our best shot ever. Oh, listen. Auburn always, for whatever reason, shows you a miracle run when no one expects us, and when we're supposed to, we tend to fall flat on our face. It's just the trend. I'm not saying that there's some kind of curse or something like that, but you can't argue with the way that things kind of happen sometimes. It just is weird. Baker, and I acknowledge, I love Auburn, but it's really hard to be a fan. Here, I wouldn't say but. I would say I love Auburn, and it's still hard to be a fan. No buts. I'm not going to get on my soapbox tonight about that, and I don't in a good way. I won't. I'll spare you guys because I know we're not probably in the spirit of that tonight. We'll wait for that. Just wondering, did Auburn back the game record of turnovers because there are a lot of them? Let's look at turnovers. Let me go over here. I've had the player stats pulled up for a little bit, but we'll look at total turnovers. 13 felt like a lot more, didn't it? Only 4 for Miami. Let me give them some credit. Apparently, the number is 7. Only 7 turnovers in their first 2 games in the tournament. 2 teams I don't want to face right now: St. Peter's and Miami. Everybody look out. I'm not saying they're going to win it all, but as for those of you that said, March Madness postseason is about being hot at the right time. Well, you found 2 teams that are hot at the right time. I would say everybody was ready to play. I think in terms of showing up in the statistics column, you can credit Jalen Williams. I want to know what dentist he went to because I need some of that in my life. Whatever they injected into him and his teeth, his new, I'm sure, pearly whites, I want some of that in my life. And Katie Johnson, as much as we sometimes go, yes, no with Katie Johnson, you can't argue with his will, his desire to get us back in the game. Those 2 tonight heavily are credited with this even being a game at some points. They're not the only ones that, contributed stat-wise tonight, but this isn't even a game without those two. It isn't. Let's see here. And by the way, remember, Booster Club members, I know it's not the most fun one to call in on tonight, but you are more than welcome to call in if you'd like to. And then, Joe, we talked about this a second ago. I feel like we peaked too early. You now can definitively say that. For those of you that have been talking about that in the latter part of the regular season and the SC tournament, you now can definitively say that we peaked too early. Blake, rough game, amazing season, still War Eagle, of course, always, sir. If we're looking for upsides, Jalen Williams played very well and shows that he can be a great player in this team. Jalen Williams, it's not that Jalen Williams can be. Jalen Williams is a great player. This team doesn't have the success even outside of this game without Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams comes into the game and there's no drop-off in any area of it. So if there's something that you as Auburn fans want to take away tonight, it's not that you're losing your best player ever. Jalen Williams was the heart and soul of this team, and most of us didn't even know it. I mean, I did personally, but I hope this makes you realize what happens when Jalen Williams come in the game. There's no drop-off defensively. There's no drop-off in effort. There's no drop-off in production. Jalen Williams is the quintessential team basketball player. He accepts the role that he is given, and he doesn't pout about it, and he makes the most of the opportunities that he is given. Point made. Jalen Williams, you are the man. I love the dude coming into this season, and I was begging a lot of us here on this channel to not count him out as a starting role. Obviously, Bruce knew something better than me because he did very well as a sixth man in some sense, even though that was really Wendell a lot this season. We might have to question Jabari's sanity if he were to stay. Listen, I'd be all for it personally, but for his sake, for his future, for his career, he's got to go. I think we obviously need to prepare ourselves for Kessler leaving as well. But I think there's a discussion to be had there that you could potentially have a point to make with him. Look, yeah, you might go first or early second round, but what if you stayed another season? I will say this, that I think based off what we've seen of this team in this year, Walker Kessler stays next year. This changes the trajectory of the team entirely. Chance Westry's coming in, and I'm sorry, the other Trey Donaldson's coming in. And I feel like I'm missing someone very important on that list too, so forgive me. So you've got some talent rolling in next year, but we'll have plenty of time to talk about that going forward. Kessler looked exhausted in the first half. What do you think? Burned out? No, I don't think it was anything. I think frustration. I think the frustration set in across the team, and it was hard to get that monkey off their back. The weight. Imagine the entire season of you yourself, because of how you're doing personally, but as a team, the expectations, and then finally you've gotten used to that load, and then it just shifts off of your shoulders. And then it's not that it's a relief, but that pressure isn't there to keep you going and going and going, because you got to keep just for that one more step. That's kind of a lot what I think happens here. Let's see here. Jabari will pay dividends later on. Great players will know that they can be a lottery pick playing for Auburn. Well, they know that now already, but what it does is continues the trajectory that began with Chumo Kiki, that continued with Okoro, that continued on with Sharif Cooper, JT Thor, and now moves to him. And if you put Walker Kessler in this at this point, yeah, that trend continues on. I saw a couple funny comments in there. I thought Aubie, the Auburn cheerleaders, and the Auburn band were the real MVPs. Hey, listen, we got to find positives where we can, right? The threes were killing us. Would have been good to see them get away from that. Well, let's look at 3-point percentage. Oh, 19%. 5 of 26. You knock down, like you knock down not one, 3 of those in certain points. This maybe changes the trajectory of the game, but overall, you're not gonna win doing that. Excuse me. Um, Experienced guard wins in March. I guess Miami has 5. We had none. Experience period. They're experienced across their lineup, and you could see that tonight. And that's kind of what happens. Listen, if you're trying to become, a Kentucky, where you're cycling in this talent in and out constantly. That's the challenge with Kentucky. How do you put together a cohesive unit for more than just one part of the season, but the whole season? And how do you make it apparently peak at the right time? Auburn had that figured out mid-season, mid to late mid-season, and it kind of didn't come back. But yeah. Thomas, again, hashtag E2C for life. Thank you so much. By the way, if you haven't, please do make sure you smash that like button. We've had a great crowd here. While we have a lot of you here, I do want to remind you, we're not done yet, but I want to remind you that we do go live every Wednesday night, barring a vacation or something like that, where you can call in live here. Everybody can. Some select nights like tonight, we just let our Booster Club members call in if they choose to. I know tonight's is late and is not the one that you want to be calling into. But I hope you can join us there. Obviously, we talk a lot of Auburn for those of you that are fans from other persuasions. You could probably get something out of it. We get a lot of those type of people joining us from time to time. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, and check out some of the links in the description. I'll give you a reminder real quick. One of the things you can do to help our channel, you can become a channel member by hitting that join button. $1 a month's all it takes. You get access to icons next to your name, emojis. A little bit easier for me to see you, especially on the busier streams. And comments after the fact and all that kind of stuff. It just makes that a little bit easier, especially if you want to have your voice heard. As we continue to grow as a channel here, things would become, thankfully, a little bit harder in that respect. Kessler, we will find out, is more injured than we know. Potentially. That obviously has been a nagging issue, but we've seen him compete through that. I don't know that is... sometimes you're just off. It's Miami eliminated him from competition tonight early on, and that was really the start to that. Spicy, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, and I know you're being spicy, but this is not a failed season. Is it a disappointment? Yes, and I've already said that. I always said Elite Eight or anything below that anything below Elite Eight is a disappointment, but it's not a failed season. You don't go and get number one for the first time and maintain that for 3 weeks and this be a failed season. You don't attract the number one overall player in the country for a year away from G League, away from the NBA, and this is a failed season. So I'm going to, unfortunately, kind of negate you there a little bit. Just my opinion, we're all entitled to it. This is not a failed season. It is a big disappointment, though. And maybe we're just arguing semantics at this point. The biggest gripe that I have is that we start off sluggish in the first half and then we wear ourselves out trying to catch up. It's kind of reminiscent of football. Eric Musselman, Arkansas, looking like the best coach in the SEC. Now, I wouldn't go so far as to say that you are the best coach in the SEC simply because you are the only team left in the tournament. Is he a good coach? Yes. Evidence is there of that. Just because you are continuing on in your side of the bracket doesn't mean that you somehow have done a better coaching job. In teams match up differently to everybody. It's hard to make those type of decisions when you look at the whole body of work and what Bruce put together this season collectively. He is the best coach in the SEC this year. Eric Musselman, though, and his team, as we've said all season, Kentucky, Auburn, Arkansas, and Tennessee were far away the best teams in the SEC. And it was just a matter of who was going to have it all together at the end of the season and who was going to be able to come out better, obviously, at the end of it. If Kessler goes, when do you think he'll be drafted? Don't know at this point. Again, it depends on maybe that injury and depends on what everybody needs in the tournament. His defensive prowess is is obvious. His blocking ability. I think there's an argument to be made for Walker Kessler to stay. I wouldn't blame him though for going. So right now, I'd project him early second round. Just ballparking. I have no knowledge of what people are looking for, what the draft order would look like at this point. So I'm just ballparking it at that point. Miami's been playing well all season. I've seen some moments where Miami has played well. They play in the ACC, so you got, even in a down year, you've got to be pretty decent to compete at a high level there. Um, you know, based off of where they're at right now, I don't have much of an argument. But you know, I wouldn't say that personally. I would highly doubt that they've been playing well all season. Auburn should have took advantage of our size, but y'all didn't. Well, if I guess this is a Miami fanner we're talking to here. Again, you took out Walker Kessler very early. It's hard to do that without him. That's the size right there. I mean, yes, Jabari's 6'10", right? And Jalen Williams is 6'8", I believe, on a good day. Dylan Cardwell's 6'10", I believe. It's a much different situation with Walker Kessler in. Let's see here. I thought Miami's coach had a better game plan. I was expecting Auburn to adjust in the second half. I'm sure, Dan, I'm sure they adjusted, but Miami adjusted better. Just because you're successful in the first half doesn't mean you don't make adjustments. It's really a chess match. In the easiest way of saying things, Coach Pearl got out coached tonight. It's not that Coach Pearl did a bad job. It's just Miami, their team, their experience, their game plan was ready on Auburn having a bad night. And you can't take that away from them. This team did not have the same depth and athleticism as the 2018-2019 Final Four. I will disagree with you vehemently on this. This team was deeper. This team was, especially on an individual level, when you just kind of looked at overall, matched people up comparatively, more talented in my opinion, but that's an individual level. As a team, and this may be where you were getting at, they came together in the right way at the right time around the right people. Timing sometimes is everything. We were talking early on the season, was this team better than the 2019? And the narrative started to shift. Yes, they are. And it became more and more obvious. And I was okay kind of saying that. It's a hard comparison to make without being able to pluck those guys out and say, go play against these guys. Just because they finished better doesn't mean that they are the better team. Different time, different teams, different competition, different peaks. You play this team at their peak versus that team at their peak. It's a good game. I think this team wins, though. It's hard to beat Walker Kessler. Tonight's one of those nights, though. Thomas, comment of the night, sir. Jalen pulled a Cody. You know how to get to my heartstrings. I am a huge Cody Burns fan. Cody Burns he took the step back and still produced. That is what an Auburn man does, and that is why Jalen Williams is my boy. Don't know him personally. We've interviewed Chantel Williams. So Chantel, if you happen to see this one, and I hope someone will get it to you, you have an incredible son, and I personally am just so proud of him. And I it doesn't mean anything coming from me, but the dude showed up. He did what upperclassmen are supposed to do. You showed up every day, and you showed up when the chips were down and produced and tried to will your team back to this win. Ah, man. And of course, we get the, weirdo Bama fans that want to come in, drop in RTs. How that first round loss feel to you, buddy? Let's see here. Let me scoot you ahead. We're getting a little bit behind in there. Let's see here. Let me roll down here. Lots of people acting like children as usual. Let's see. Jalen Williams has always been underrated. Yes, he has. I would agree with that. Graham, Miami fan here. Good game. I believe our speed and defensive tenacity made a difference, but our perimeter shooting was hoarded. Yeah, this game would have gotten out of hand a lot quicker if y'all had knocked a few more of those down. Pain. Yes, we are feeling that tonight. We are. Hogs carrying the torch again. Let's see here. And it's so funny. Here, the most fascinating thing in the world to me, and I'm guessing what has happened. The Arkansas fans have arrived. I've scooched all the way ahead to the top of the comments now because we're getting blasted now. There's apparently, I think it's like hogsportssomething.com. And last time it was after the Arkansas loss, they, I guess, shared our link in there. So welcome all of you that are arriving from hogsportssomething.com because y'all are arriving in droves. It's funny. Listen, you could have the Auburn fans on your side to root for you the rest of this tournament, but it's not going well the way you're behaving right now. Joe, great question. We will at some point, especially, you booster club members, we're going to try to see if we can put together a little meetup at 8A. We'll talk more about that coming up very soon. These new Auburn basketball fans do not realize what Coach Pearl has done to Auburn. For years, I languished hoping for Auburn to get in the tournament. Now these new fans are mad that we did not win at all. Well, I would say, WT, that they have a right to be upset to a point, right? There's certain aspect of that. And I would agree with you that at the same time, there has to be kind of an understanding that it's not going to be this way all the time. And that's kind of what's happened with Auburn football of recent years. The bar was raised, and it's hard to maintain that bar sometimes, especially when you consider context and things like that. And sometimes things just don't go your way. So I wouldn't try to pit us against each other so much. We got enough of that going on from opposing fans right now, especially in this chat room. But yeah. You're welcome. Arkansas, Chris Like's been helping y'all. Him and Timberlake didn't transfer. Miami would have been a top seed. I'm not understanding that whatsoever. So yes, I would say this, Cohen. My bracket is now completely shot. I had Tennessee and Auburn in the Final Four for a rematch, and that is, was that a bad take? Was that a bad take? Oh my! This is by far one of the worst brackets that I have ever put together, and I didn't even make drastic calls. There's just been a lot of teams that had opportunities to win that showed that I was right. I'm just speaking about my bracket personally now, in the way that I was expecting things, but just never got past that. There's this 4-point margin that these teams can't get past in this tournament, and they messed us up every single time. The greater good. No, Auburn took this. The Auburn players, I disagree. They took seriously. They took them seriously from the get-go. Miami's just better tonight. There's nothing wrong with that. It's hats off to Miami. Let's see here. Gonzaga, maybe. I don't know what we're talking about there. Well, I'm pulling for the Canes now to win this thing. I was going to pull for Arky, but some of these fans remind me why I dislike other SEC fans. Well, see, there you go. Anyway, all right. So if you got any more commentary about the game, things that stuck out to you, we've talked about Katie Johnson, Jalen Williams rising to the occasion tonight. Jabari, unfortunately, this will be the last game with him. Walker Kessler, there is maybe a slight question of it out there. You return a lot of the talent this year. The question is how do they fix some of the problems that arose this year towards the end of the year? That is going to be the question in the offseason. Who leaves? There's probably going to be some of that, some of the people that were getting playing time. So that's what we shift to at this point is what happens next, because Bruce Pearl was made a very wealthy man, and rightfully so for what he's done for Auburn. And I hope that's what we don't lose sight of, is that look at where Auburn was And now you've got fans sharing links for YouTube channels on others fan sites just to come over here and rag us right now because it's the cool thing to do. Because, you beat the number one team at one point. Emilio, I gotta ask. Okay, listen, I know this is an Auburn stream, but I've heard the explanation. You're not the U, you're Miami. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's crazy. Pat W says, but let's be honest, Miami is not even the best ACC team. They're not going to win this tournament, but neither was Auburn the way they played as of late. I think that's an overall fair statement. I think we still need to give some credit to Miami just because they were the best team in the ACC. This season doesn't mean they're not going to win the tournament. Do I ultimately think, and do Miami fans ultimately think that they have what it takes to beat everybody in the rest of the field? They might, but I think there's a lot of reasonable people there that can look and see. It's like, hey, we're hot right now, and if that maintains, then yes. If it doesn't, there's a lot of good talent left in this field. You don't want to face the Peacocks. You don't want to face that. And WT, I would agree somewhat with this. I despise Duke with a passion, the team, the program, just simply because they're Duke. I have a certain level of respect for Coach K, and it would be kind of cool. I had predicted Auburn versus Duke in the national title game, and it'd been kind of cool to hand him his last loss. We won't unfortunately get to do that, and that's kind of a big disappointment for me at this point. You've now lost half of your Sweet 16 teams. I think I have lost at this point 6, so I'm not quite there yet, but I haven't checked the rest of the board today. It's crazy. Of course, Bama fans have to root, I guess is what you said, for teams against Auburn because they know that their team is going to lose. Well, it's already been done, but they couldn't handle their 11 seed, That's the things they're coming here bragging and ragging us for losing to a 10 seed. You lost to 11 seed in the first round, buddy. You didn't beat us at all this season. Check the scoreboard before you start talking. Let's see. You also not lost 2 Elite 8 teams and 1 of your Final 4 teams. I've lost 2 Final 4. I've lost, pretty much at that point. There's no point in me personally keeping track at this point of the tournament. Just enjoy the tournament for what it is. All right. Field goal percentage tonight, not good for Auburn. 30% is not horrible, but it's not good. A team, this has been a common trend for Auburn in the last couple of games, the last part of the season, especially having some poor play on their part, but running into teams at the wrong time. Miami 48%. Team knocks down 48%. That's almost one out of every 2 shots, and it felt like that tonight. You're not going to win the game. If they knock down some 3-pointers tonight at certain points, this game isn't even close. Free throw percentage 80% for them. Auburn decent tonight, 73%. Not super great in my opinion, but good enough. We talked about areas all season. If you're successful in these areas, you win. 70 free throw percentage, turnovers, and rebounds. They lose in the turnover category. They lose in the free throw category. Rebounds tonight. They do win 39-47 on everything except defensive rebounds. But overall, there was a wide offensive. And so put that into your perspective here. 6 offensive rebounds for Miami. 17. How many points? Let's see. Was there a second chance points down here? It's not on this system that I'm using right now. But I would bet there weren't a lot of them. That's your game right there. Not being able to put the basket back in when you had opportunities to. Bring Pro to Kentucky. You not happy with old Calipari over there? This game, I'm glad someone finally brought this up. BF says the game reminded me of the round of 32 loss we had against Clemson in March 2018. It's similar, yes, but it is nowhere. There was a point where it got about that miserable, but that one was miserable from the get-go. I will never forget that evening and just knowing you were done from the very beginning. Was it a bad start for Auburn tonight? No, but they showed life as they have all season when they've gotten into bad situations. And if they don't get off to that bad start in the second half, this is probably a much different game. Did Auburn play a team similar to Miami in the regular season? The positionless style of basketball seemed to get us out of rhythm. Positionless style. That's an interesting term. Not sure what you mean by that. Did they play a similar team? I'm trying to think. If you're saying maybe smaller, more guard focused, but like Alabama's kind of in that realm. It's a hard question. It's going to be hard to watch the rest of the tournament. Just knowing Auburn had a real chance this year. Hopefully the pain will wear off soon. Love March Madness. That's the thing is March Madness giveth and it taketh away, and it hurts. It hurts big sometimes. Let me go back through the individual stats real quick, just to kind of, I know they're not pretty. We talked about Jabari, Walker, Flanagan. Flanagan tonight showed some life at times too. You got to wonder if he was the missing piece all season. If he figures it out, is the back half of this season a little bit different? That is not me blaming him, and I know some of you want to continue to blame him. He was very good defensively still all season, just offensively not there, but he rose to the occasion a couple of times tonight. Glad they got in a lot of the guys at the end, especially like Preston Cook seniors that they needed to get in. Cardwell kind of disappeared tonight a little bit at times. Cambridge, same thing. So really kind of disappointing on the outside of Jalen Williams situation out on the bench play. Let's see. Miami honestly was just a more quicker team. They were quicker with the ball. That number 3 kid was just a lot of quick here strikes. But this game is going to sting for a while. Yeah, they were very quick. They defensively, especially, were making great plays on the ball. Maybe some sloppy passes on Auburn's part. One thing that I would like for the team, the guards, to work on is really how do we get out of those traps that were very high placed on us, not just by Miami, but by other teams all the season. What you saw happen is the teams figure out. We talked about this a lot throughout the stream. There was a formula for beating Auburn. If you can complete that formula, you win the game. If you don't, you're likely going to get smoked by them. That's how good this team is. So it's kind of one of these things where one game doesn't define a team, doesn't define a year. It does make it disappointing. This team was very, very good when it was playing well. Even when it was playing poorly, and let me put this into perspective for everybody. This is the first game this season that Auburn, if I think I'm saying this correctly, got blown out. That's it. Every loss before that. Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida, UConn, Texas A&M. Am I missing one? Texas A&M probably was not a blowout, but it was a little bit more. Every team before that, Auburn was in the game even towards the end of the game. Just wasn't their night. Even any thought on the home court advantage being so overwhelming that it played over into how we played away from Auburn? Yeah, I would say, yeah, it is overwhelming for the opposing team that comes to Auburn. That is evident, undefeated. But does that negatively affect your team? If it does, then you don't deserve to be the number 1 team. I'm not trying to, really say that's a stupid. It's not that it's a stupid comment or anything like that. I wouldn't really read too much into that. If that's the case, you don't deserve to be on the floor. You need to play better. It's hard to win on the road. Doesn't matter if it's the SEC. It doesn't matter if it's a neutral site tournament game. Winning on the road is hard, out of your rhythm, out of that stuff. And the teams that do that the best will win. Miami's doing that right now. Peacocks, St. Peter's is doing that right now. The Peacocks have made the decision, we're not going home. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Did not see the same team that we did at the beginning of the season. What in the world happened to us? We will just never know. But there's a lot to take hold of to be proud of this year. Cohen, so here's the conundrum that let me pull the curtain back. It's great that they're here. It helps me out. They're a little annoying at times. Hog Sports Fans website where we yell about We Pig Suey all the time.com. I got shared in their group apparently again because they blasted us all of a sudden. It helps me out. So I'm fine with a little, extracurricular activities from opposing fans as long as they're reasonable. Sometimes they just get annoying. We probably were a little annoying sometimes this year too. Let's see. Auburn was so cocky, including fans, coaches, and players. This is humble pie for the trolling all season. Again, Mr. Hillcrest, I feel like I've seen you here before. I can't remember if you are an Auburn fan or not. If you're not an Auburn fan, I think you're being a little too sensitive. We've here on this channel been saying the entire night what a great game Miami played. Every time we've gotten beat, we've said what a great team or what a great game the other team played, at least. If they weren't a great team, they pretty much were. Every team that we lost to. Listen, you can't take a few bad experiences for a fan base and just throw them out of the water unless they're Alabama fans. Gotcha. But have Auburn fans had more fun this season than normal? And sometimes at the expense of other teams. Absolutely, they have. Is that a little bit unusual, a little bit hard to swallow for some other teams? Absolutely, it is. Do I understand it? Absolutely, I do. Don't take it so hard. It's a game. Let's see here. Scroll down. Hate it for you guys. I'm a Vols fan. Who would have thought neither Tennessee, Auburn, or Kentucky would make it to the Sweet 16? Yeah. If you're a betting man for that, I want to sell you. I would have said I would have sold you some property in the bayous of Louisiana, but you would have been right this one time. Sometimes the better team does not have the better game. Reference the Auburn Final Four team. Very well point. All right. Not going away just yet, but get last minute comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals in here. That's for you opposing fans out there. Appreciate some of you hanging out with us tonight. Great season for Auburn, he says. Auburn Nation, there's always next year. See you next season. Good. I would say good luck to the We Pig Sueys, but most of them have not behaved well tonight. So that will be, I'll have to sit on that before I think about wishing them good luck at this point. Peacock Nation at this point for me. Get your last minute comments and questions. As a reminder, if you haven't, please do consider, if you can, being part of our channel membership program. $1 a month is all it takes. It does help support the content here. We are mainly listener, viewer, follower, whatever you describe yourself as, just a member of our little family, the Auburn family. And extended, because I think we have some other fans as well that enjoy the content that aren't necessarily Auburn fans. You can do that by signing up here. Help support what we put out weekly, sometimes daily. Appreciate you guys that do that already. Check out the other links in the description for ways that you can help support our content. Smashing the like button. I am going to close down the phone lines even for the rest of the evening, because we'll start wrapping up here on this therapy session for everybody. Don't want to talk about it. I'm not ready yet. That's understandable, sir. A lot of people have gone to bed. I'm impressed with the amount of you that stayed here tonight to talk with me. Let's see here. Mr. Hillcrest responding. No sensitivity. Yeah, you are. But when a team and organization runs around trolling all season, they better at least make the Sweet 16 and didn't. It's fair. It's not the worst thing in the world, but you're being a little sensitive. You'd be doing the same thing, buddy, if you're in the same shoes. That's the thing, too. My philosophy is always don't dish it out if you can't take it. I'm here taking the L's. Just because I respond back and have a little fun with it doesn't mean I'm not taking my L's. I'm very willing to take the L's here. Much Duck. Didn't expect to see Auburn to make it past the Sweet 16. They struggled away from home and seemed to be inconsistent. That's a fair point. Fair point there. Oh, Kenneth. Oh, Kenneth, don't do this to yourself, buddy. Don't do it, buddy. I love you. I love your heart, and I love your eternal optimism. Don't convince yourself that Jabari Smith is coming back. Don't do it. Don't do it. uh, Jabari Smith needs to go. I hate it. I mean, I love it in a sense for him. Just wishing the guy the best. But yeah, he's gone. He gone. And it was a joy and a privilege. And I got to witness him twice myself in person for the Atlanta game against Nebraska. And then what an incredible game against Kentucky. How that one feel, Kentucky fans. Um, it was good. It was a fun run. Thank you. I'm glad you're being a good sport about a little bit of back and forth. I hope you'll stick around maybe and check out some of the other content here. I know obviously you're not an Auburn fan, but thank you for playing along tonight. And Kenneth as well, apparently. Kenneth is like, oh, no, he's like, I understand now. Thank you, WT. I appreciate that. It's not about being the best Auburn content. It's just about giving you guys a little space, obviously, to have your voices heard and, make it about not just myself. And I know that I'm the one in front of the camera and I'm the one talking mostly. And that's why I try to give as much opportunities for people to call in, bring your comments up. It makes the show a little bit unique and disjointed sometimes, the way I just kind of responding back and forth with you guys. But I felt like there was a space for that. So I hope you guys enjoy it, even on nights like this where you can come in, be a weird rogue fan from another team, just wanting to, you know, throw it in our faces. But those kind words do help me keep going. So thank you so much for that. Inability of any of our guards besides KD bulldozing really hurts offensively. It does. The guard play, I think, we can kind of take a step back now and look and say was probably one of the weaker points or inconsistent points, even KD at times. But, yeah, it's one of those things that you'd hated at the time to jump on and say, our guards are sucking it up. But at the same time, looking at things retrospectively now, because we have the whole season to look at, there's a case to be made there. Baseball time. Yeah, listen, as long as you're still an Auburn basketball fan and everything fan, it is definitely time to switch to baseball and softball and track and field. I know nobody gets excited about track and field, but you should. They're doing big things this year. Plenty of stuff to get excited about with Auburn. This lost. Oh, goodness. I know a lot of you people are like, what's going on? You had to be here when it happened. We have a t-shirt, War Dustbuster. Don't ask. It's there if you want it. Yes, thank you for continuing to acknowledge that. I will try my best, continue to do that as we continue to grow bigger. It will get harder to do, but we will try to maintain the spirit here. The principle behind what we do here is it's not about us, the network, myself. It's about us, the collective, the Auburn family. And that's what is the spirit behind the content that we drive to you guys and the content we produce. And a lot of the times you produce the content. That's what this show is about. You sharing your thoughts, me reacting to it, sharing my opinions, rebuttals to it. We're not an echo chamber. We're a bouncing board. Let's see what sticks. Cool, Luke. Yes, we listen. Obviously, now the natural progression of things is for basketball to begin to take a backseat on this channel. There's still plenty to discuss, I'm sure, and we'll do that over the next, few weeks. But obviously, football getting started, baseball and softball in full swing. We'll be talking about that a lot. Peter, it's not all about the U. You're not the U. You're Miami. Get it right. I love saying that because I know it gets them stirred up. Cohen, the long and the short of it is very early on when we started doing this channel as a regular thing, we had a gentleman, I don't know. It was the comments, just name and stuff, came in and made a very inappropriate statement about a grandfather and a dustbuster. I forget who it was, but someone said, well, War Dustbuster to that. and it sent the entire me, and I think Austin was with that. No, Clint was with me at the time, into just hilarious fits. And so someone said you should put a t-shirt on that. So on tpublic.com, there is a War Dustbuster t-shirt with a Dustbuster on there. So have at it if you'd like it. Nobody's bought it yet. Y'all said make it. I made it. No one's bought it yet. um, let's see here. Out of the four top SEC teams, Arkansas was probably the one that was the least talked about in terms of tournament depth, and yet they're the only SEC team left. Going to be hard against Gonzaga, though. Yeah, Gonzaga seems to be hitting a little bit of a stride. Good luck with that. I don't know how that's going to go. Michael, messing with you guys a lot. Lots of love to you. Bruce Pearl, not done. He's a great coach. Absolutely. I would agree with that. Little ribbon every once in a while is fair game. We did plenty of that our season with the memes and such. And this will be a season that I will never forget. The incredible hype, the incredible rise, sometimes the incredible falls that this team had. Pearlville, renaming of the arena, the money we needed, a lifetime contract, the number one player in the country. Not tonight, but overall. Just monumental season that should never, ever, ever be negated simply because of one game. Really cool. Really cool. And I hope that we will take that into how we deal with this game, and I hope we'll move forward with it. And I hope that you will always remember that it's great to be an Auburn Tiger. Not anyways, always. So thank you guys so much for tuning in on a late night show. Subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any content coming up on the channel. We're not done with basketball talk here, although we probably will take a little bit of a break, at least for tomorrow or something. Who knows? I may get an itch to get something out there about basketball, but basketball will still be a part of the show, as everything Auburn is, as we can get it to you. Thank you for tuning in. For Auburn fans out there, thank you for being part of our little family within the Auburn family. War Eagle always, and we enjoyed this season. Boy,